Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Tea Time with Ayek. We don't always drink tea, we do spill tea, however, and today I feel really heavy. Okay, so before I even get into why I'm here talking on the camera to you guys, I want to thank you guys for the support from here on out, and I'd like to think that you and I have a rapport or an understanding or some sort of connection. And so I'm sharing this with you guys to raise awareness and to really stress the point that we have an issue. We have a lot of issues here in Nigeria, but we have a big issue. And I kind of want you to listen to what I have to say. I want to hear your perspective, and I want to know how we can come together and collectively do our part to sort out this issue. Because for me, I feel heavy, like my spirit feels heavy. And it's felt heavy since yesterday when I really took time to digest the news that I heard. My spirit feels heavy and I feel a burden. The burden came earlier today when I realized that first and foremost, like, I have a responsibility to raise awareness just because of what I do, and also because I'm a part of a community in which I believe we're meant to come together and share things, learn from each other, all of those things. And so I felt like I needed to get on camera and talk to you guys. If you have not heard about what's been going on, COZA, which stands for Commonwealth Zion Assembly, is a popular church here in Nigeria. Their headquarters are in Abuja. And their senior pastor has been accused of rape and twice by one woman named Busola Dakolo, who's a photographer, content creator. She runs a site called Skills Kitchen. So basically the backstory, because I don't really want to get into too much detail, but I'm going to put articles down below and everything in case you want to learn, find out more about it. She did an interview. It came out Friday, June 28th. And she was expressing her ordeal, or expressing her truth. Allegedly, when she was in secondary school, also known as high school, she was raped by a man of God. And not only was she raped, but she had never had sex before. I don't like to use the word virginity, but he took her virginity and, told her, hey, you should be happy a man of God took your, allegedly told her, you should be happy a man of God took your virginity, blah, blah, blah. After that, people spoke out, people addressed it, public figures, the everyday person like you and I spoke out against it or spoke out about it. And quite a few people showed screenshots of conversations they've had with people who have either been alleged victims of sexual assault under this church, and just share their stories in general. I'm sorry if this is disorganized. I'm sorry if I'm not looking at the camera, but I'm just trying to organize my thoughts. But the consensus in general has been people have been feeling very heavy in their spirit. But I want to come on here and talk about the issues, the fundamental issues that we have here. How they're shaping the conversation against rape allegations and rape victims and all of these things. As always, these sort of issues, they unnerve me because they show me the mentality of the average person. Biodun is a pastor of a very big church. If you're not aware, Nigeria is considered extremely religious. 50%, give or take 50% Christian, give or take 50% Muslim. And religion is a big deal here. There's a church, there are churches everywhere. There are more churches than hospitals in some communities. I know in my town, in Akwa Ibom State. There are churches literally everywhere, to the point that on one side of my grandparents' house, there's a church. In the backyard, go over the gate, there's another church. It wasn't until, of course I grew up with Nigerians, but it wasn't until I came to Nigeria, that was the first time I heard someone say, oh, you can't talk about a man of God like that. I was having a conversation with a younger one, someone younger than me, significantly younger than me. He was 13. Or I was saying it in passing, actually, it wasn't really a conversation. And I was drawing up some general criticism about a reverend, I think he was. And this young boy said, you're talking about a man of God like that. And that statement terrified me because, first and foremost, I wasn't insulting him. I wasn't, assassinating his character. I was giving a general criticism that anybody would have observed and, left it at that. But at 13, he already knows that you're not even allowed to give criticism to men in power, people in power. We have issues of indoctrination. People see especially men of God, as God himself. A lot of times you'll hear people say, my pastor said, my pastor said, my pastor said, my pastor said. So without getting too religious here or too, I'm not even into religion. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. If you're a Christian, then you believe in Jesus Christ. One of the many reasons, because I believe there are thousands of reasons that Jesus came to earth. One of the reasons was so that he can intercede for us. Guys, we don't need a middleman. We don't need somebody to come in between us to talk to God. That's what Jesus came to do. So it's so sad to me that people think that the only way they can talk to God, the only way that they can connect with God is through some guy. That's not true. That is just not true. God hears you. And you don't need to believe the lie that some pastor or some minister is the only person that's capable of touching God's heart, when you can open your mouth and touch God's heart. And it's so painful to me because it's like, if you read the Bible, you would know that. Open your mouth and God hears you. That is why Jesus came. One of the thousands of reasons Jesus came. Jesus is our interceder. He left us with the Holy Spirit. But people don't know that because they're listening to their pastors preach to them about getting millions of dollars and getting a husband or a wife, and not teaching them what God is saying, what the word says. It is so scary to me that people will go weeks without praying, waiting to get a meeting with some pastor or some man of God because they don't believe that their words touch God's heart. That's so painful to me, and it's scary. Because there's no single person, there's no single sensible person that won't know about that power and be tempted to use it in their favor. Yeah, we have an issue with power here and the use of power. We have an issue with holding people accountable. If we look at even down to local government chairmen and what they're allowed to do or capable of doing because they have power, how they're capable or allowed to exploit people every day because of their power. Talk less of a pastor, someone who people see as God already. God is terrifying. And all of these things come back to what? They're indoctrinated. The moment someone says they're a pastor, they're seen a certain way. And you as the pastor have that choice to decide, listen, I have this influence over people. I'm going to influence them in a way that's going to lead them closer to God, lead them closer to Christ. Or you make silly, disgusting, despicable, inhumane choices. So that's the issue with religion. We have an issue with religion. And somebody actually tweeted, they said, if Nigeria was working the way that it should, most churches wouldn't be as full as they are now. Which, hey, that's based on speculation. Who really knows? Especially when it comes to issues like this, of course, misogyny comes into play. And you hear all kinds of trash. You hear all kinds of trash. A lot of people who were condemning Busola were saying, they're saying things like, why did it take you so long to speak about it? You just want to be famous, blah, blah, blah. Most notably, some guy, Wale Jenna or Henna, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He spent a few paragraphs telling the world about how Tini and Busola had 2 children out of wedlock and then got married. I don't know what that has to do with a rape allegation, but whatever, fine. And then he goes into the comments. He's deleted the post, but he then goes into the comments and says, this is my opinion and you all can go to hell. So there's not even any decorum. There's no sense of decorum. Yeah, we have rape apologists saying, well, why did you take so long to talk about it? Why did this? Why did that? Blah, blah, blah. Then we have some people on the fence. We need to hear both sides. We need to hear his side of the story, blah, blah, blah. Okay, which is what most people say when there's a sexual assault allegation or rape allegation. Or you get the people who are just automatically blaming the victim. Because I know people who have been through, sexual assault before, when they were really young, and I know that for some people, for a few of them, they were only comfortable talking about it in their adulthood. Like they never said it to anyone when it happened, after it happened, and all of those things. So you can't put a timeline on trauma. You have no right, and this is for rape apologists, you have no right to tell someone when they can open their mouth and talk about their trauma or talk about their experience. You have no right to tell a victim of sexual assault how to speak about it, when to speak about it, whether he or she should take legal action, blah, blah, blah. It's not your place. And in this particular case, the other side came out, but unfortunately, the statement was written by someone on his PR team, and he didn't even have the decency to cut out the fact that he screenshot it. So basically, someone emailed it to him, and he screenshot. It says press release PDF. So I don't know. Maybe he had it in waiting and things like that. I don't know. I would also suggest don't go on places like Instablog. Don't go on those places and read the comments because you'll just really be disgusted. I just kind of wanted to rant and pour out my heart a little bit because it hurts. It's very painful, and I think it hurts even more because it's like, is this the kind of world, or is this the kind of Nigeria that we want our children to live in? And even if our children don't live here full time, is this the kind of Nigeria we want our children to visit? It really can be summed up in, like I said, indoctrination, power dynamic, not knowing God for yourself, misogyny, genuine hatred of women, and genuine hatred of victims, the obsession with silencing victim. Enough is enough. We need to stand up. We need to say that we're not going to stand around and watch people in power, or even the average person. It's not just politicians that do it. It's not just pastors that do it. It could be anybody walking down the street. I mean, we hear of cases of women being sexually assaulted on buses here in Lagos, and there's nothing they can do, but they already say to themselves, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want him to hurt me. Enough is enough. We need to speak out. We need to hold people accountable by calling them out, taking legal action, supporting the victims. If the victim decides, okay, I want to take legal action, how can I be supportive? How can I help you? Or they decide, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say a word. We need to be accepting and supportive of that too. We need to be more supportive of people, of victims, when they come out and speak their truth. In time, in understanding, in being vocal, in raising awareness. So yeah, guys, I'm interested in hearing your comments. I'm interested in hearing what you think. Yeah, we'll continue to follow the story, Feel free to send me a message or comment below or anything so that we can have that dialogue. So thank you guys for watching once again. I will see you, by God's grace, on Wednesday. All right. Bye. Hey guys, so these are some clips of some protests that took place on Sunday, June 30th. And also there's some information on who to talk to if you are a victim of sexual assault or violence here in Nigeria. There are a few other clips of protests and other things that have taken place. They're all going to be linked down in the bio. And also, I'm going to be linking a video that suggests, or not even suggests, a counter-protester admitted that the church, the COZA church, the pastor himself, offered every single one of them 10,000 naira to counter-protest the protesters. So, yeah.